Everybody go ahead and find your seat. We're going to bring this 2026 Baxter County Republican debate to order. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. I think it's very important we all get involved and hear what our candidates have to say so we can make the most informed decision. And with that, I'm going to start us with the invocation. Russ is going to lead us.
Could you please stand? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together tonight to hear what the candidates have to say. Lord, we thank you for giving us the opportunity in a free country to assemble for an event like this. Lord, there's so many things going on in the world that we should all take note of because we do have a free country. Lord, we just pray that you'll be with each of the candidates tonight. Guide the words. Let each of us hear what they have to say and take it to heart and make our best decision. We thank you for all the things that you've given us. Ask you to bless us, be with us, and forgive us where we fall short. Amen.
Amen. All right, we will now say the Pledge of, I guess I should have told you all to remain standing. We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I was looking for a flag. There we go, right there. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, in God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now you may be seated. I'm going to take a seat too. I'm going to be up here a long time. I would now like to introduce Jack Randall, who's going to tell us about how the questions were selected tonight. Just pick one right here.
All right. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, I'm Jack Randall with the Baxter County Republicans. Somebody asked me who you are. This is Chris Chamberlain. He's our chairman.
I guess I could introduce myself.
Yeah. So one day I volunteered. I'll help get some questions. You know how that works. So that led into getting a panel together. We contacted 8 different organizations. We had 5 that replied. So I would like to start by introducing our panel. Not everybody can see them. Ladies first, from the Chamber of Commerce, we have Danny Pugsley. If you'd stand, please, and remain standing. From the Board of Realtors, Angie Kreider. I don't think he's here yet. From Embrace Church is Joe Young, was on the panel. You might know him from the Lions or the American Legion or Farmers Insurance. Okay, and from the Lions Club, Lee Belichick. And last but not least, our host, Steve Buzka from the Elks Lodge. Okay, I appreciate you all being here tonight. So what we did is we had different avenues where people could submit questions. Primarily, we wanted questions. I'm sorry, they clapped individually, so I got lost. We wanted questions from an organization. What we tried to do is get a cross-section of our county with these different groups. And that went pretty good. We had some individuals submit questions. And I need to admit one thing. If we have a question drawn without a name on it, that's my fault. You can fire me. When we first started, we had questions sent into the BCRC Facebook page, and they had a name, but I recorded the question, and at that time I was not writing down names. Then we came up the requirement to have a name or an organization. So anyway, we've got a lot of questions. So what we did is we put together a panel, and we had a rating system, which all of this kind of evolved as the days go by. But the panel did a great job sorting out some questions. We should have plenty for everybody. And basically we gave a point total. We started out that way, then we just started kind of doing thumbs up and thumbs down. But There were a lot of duplicates, so we picked what we thought was the better, and I was not very involved with that. The panel took care of that for us. So I can guarantee two things tonight. One is until 6 o'clock tonight, I was the only one that had all the questions. And so it goes through the process. First of all, it has to go through the panel and get selected. Then it goes in a bucket, and one of the candidates have to pull it. There's going to be questions that don't get asked. But the other thing I can guarantee is I'm glad I'm not up here answering these questions, because there's some good ones. Okay, thank you very much.
So let's see. The rules tonight, we're going to do a coin flip to determine which candidate group goes first, whether it be the sheriff candidates or the judge candidates. Once we have selected our group, we will flip a coin to determine which candidate goes first. The candidate will draw a question from the container, and once the question has been read, and I'll do the reading, the candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. Each of the remaining candidates in the group will then have 3 minutes for their response, and the first candidate will have an additional 1 minute for a further response or rebuttal. So each candidate will have a total of 3 minutes to talk. The debate between the sheriff candidates will be limited to 90 minutes, and the debate between the county judge candidates will be limited to 60 minutes. If all the time is used, that will end up being about 10 questions per group. We would ask that there no audience participation. Please be respectful and allow some dignity to our candidates. And with that, let's bring up the sheriffs and the judges for our first coin toss. Okay. Who's going to call for the judges? You going to call? Who's going to call for the sheriffs? All right. Okay. All right. Well, somebody. Well, you're in luck. It's heads. Do all the sheriffs first tonight. What? We're done. Let's go ahead and bring. Come on, sheriffs. Come on up.
Any particular place you want us?
Anywhere you want. I'm in the middle to separate you guys, but two of you are on one side, so I'll just ask no fighting.
I want to sit over here so I can make faces at them.
All right, there we go. So I guess we'll do, yes.
How the mics work, guys?
We'll do,
Is
okay.
this needs to face this little line right here needs to face your mouth. Okay, so that's how everyone will have the best, because there's a lot of people called up about listening on this. That.
Do you have a mic?
Hey. Nope.
Oh, did I steal his mic? Well. You can just kind of put them, well, you can. Is this, can you hear me? Is this on? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right. Now you said, should I do that before the coin toss? All right, let's do it. All right, tell you what. Eric, I'm sorry, not Eric. Henry, please stand up. Give me 1 minute. Russ has flustered me.
I'm Henry Canfield. I'm a Republican candidate for sheriff. Most of y'all, I think, in here have heard me at least once or twice. The only candidate that is a returning candidate, I ran against Sheriff Montgomery in 22. So looking forward to this. So thank you.
My name is Brian Davis. I'm a Republican candidate for Baxter County Sheriff. I've lived in Baxter County for the last 15 years. I've got 34 years total law enforcement experience, and the last 15 of that has been with the Baxter County Sheriff's Office, where I'm currently employed as a patrol lieutenant and the commander of the patrol division.
Good evening. I'm Mark Hollingsworth. Can you hear me? Here we go. And I am a Republican candidate for Baxter County Sheriff. This is my 43rd year of being a law enforcement officer. I came up here in 1985 on my initial original assignment with the state police. I've been here all but about 3 years when I spent a short tour in the Little Rock office. I've been a criminal investigator. I've been a highway patrol trooper, a SWAT operator. I've also served at the Berrien County Sheriff's Office, where I'm currently working as the chief deputy. married to my wife, Kay, 33-year school teacher here in Mountain Home, have 2 daughters grown and 8 grandkids, and we're looking forward to tonight's debate. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now toss a coin to see who goes first. What we'll do is we will toss a coin for these two, and the winner will face you, and whoever wins will go first. Making sense?
Call it, Davis.
Heads.
It is tails. So, we'll do it again. You? Call.
Heads.
It is heads, so you'll go first.
Sounds good.
All right. Henry, and then Brian.
All right. We can take those too, Chris, if you'd like.
You can do what? Pick a question. Reach in there and grab a question. Give it to me, please. I'll read the question to the audience.
All right.
First question. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment relative to the possibility of a federal gun ban, or any gun ban for that matter, submitted by the Baxter County Republican Committee?
43 years I've carried somebody else's gun. As far as supporting the Second Amendment, without a doubt. I've raised my hand about 3 times in my lifetime to defend the state constitution and also the United States Constitution, where the Second Amendment sprouts from. And I'll tell you what, I'm committed to the Second Amendment. I'm committed to protecting that, not just locally, but statewide or however we're called to do it. But I'm a strong defender of the Second Amendment. It's just as a law enforcement officer, that's not been a big issue with me over the last 43 years. As I move into being a sheriff, the longest constitutional law enforcement in the state of Arkansas and also the United States, I'm a strong defender of the Second Amendment. And there's no reason to run this one into the ground. I support your Second Amendment rights, and I'll fight for them just as I have as a soldier for 20 years in the military and as a police officer for the last 43 years in the state of Arkansas.
Okay. Henry?
Yeah, I agree. I'm a 100% supporter of the Second Amendment. I think I've actually answered this question on the podcast. It's dear to me also. I swore that same oath in the military, swore that same oath in law enforcement. I even made the comment, if it came down to it, we'd have 30,000 sworn deputies in Baxter County. They're not coming to take our guns, no matter what.
Brian?
Well, as a sheriff, you're sworn to uphold the Constitution of the state of Arkansas and the state of and the United States. I support the Second Amendment. Luckily, the state of Arkansas passed a law a few years ago that actually makes it illegal for law enforcement to assist in the federal government enforcing any firearms laws. So that helped us a whole lot. But I fully support the Second Amendment.
Okay. You have a rebuttal?
No,
Okay.
I agree totally.
All right, that's all right. Let's move on to our next question.
Oh, that's a long one.
You're lucky.
That might be tricky, Mark.
In a rural community where backup may be far away and deputies often work alone, physical capability can be critical in emergencies. How would you ensure deputies remain physically prepared to respond effectively when physical action is required, and should these standards be formally measured or left to individual discretion? And this is from the North Central Board of Realtors.
That's actually a great question. We have to have a standard. We don't have a standard right now. And when I say a standard, our deputies, our officers, our troopers, anybody that carries a badge and a gun for a living at any moment could be fighting for their lives, fighting for the lives of somebody else. Right now we have officers who can't do that. And I'll just tell you, we have a pretty good program at Mountain Home. We're required to do defensive tactics quarterly. We've wrestled with each other, grappled with each other for 30 seconds, and I felt like it was an hour. And I feel like I'm in pretty decent shape for an old man. When you're not held to a standard, you'll never meet that standard. We have to do that. Now, I'm not saying that we're gonna start removing deputies because they may not be at that standard right now, but at what point do we as an administrator, as a sheriff, as a chief, I spent 5 years as a chief of police. I don't know that I could look myself in the mirror at night if I didn't do everything in my power to make sure that officer was 100% full equipped and trained to deal with what they need to deal with. And we're not doing that now. I don't even know if there's a few sheriff's deputies that take it upon themselves to do some defensive tactics training and things like that. But again, because I'm the same way. If you don't tell me, if I don't have to take a PT test once a year, which I have to do, I'm not going to prepare for that test. So I think it's important for an administration to say we have a minimum standard, and we are going to hold you accountable to meet that minimum standard. It's not for anything but their safety and the safety of the public.
Okay, let's see. We got a rebuttal beginning with, I guess, Brian.
Okay. We currently do not have a physical fitness requirement at the sheriff's office. We do have a full gym that deputies have access to if they choose to. I would like to see some type of maybe some type of incentive program or something in the future to give the deputies some encouragement to get physically fit. As Mr. Campfield said, you get in a physical altercation, it's very demanding and it doesn't take very long to get tired out. And I believe that the more physically fit you are, the better you can do your job, and the safer you are.
Okay.
I came from an agency that required us to do an annual PT test once a year, whether you're the newest trooper on the block or you were a major in the criminal division. I took that same test that anybody else did, and I was required to pass it. It required me to run, jump, shoot, and the three things that you have to do to keep yourself alive working the streets as a police officer. We didn't dismiss anybody, but we went on and we gave corrective action to try to get them to do better the next time they took that test. But I'm committed to, and one of the things that I put out is I'm very, very passionate about having a wellness program. That wellness program includes three different parts to it. One is the physical wellness, second is the mental health end of it, and then the third is financial wellness. But the other, the last two that I talked about don't go any place unless we've got physical wellness as the standard that we go by. That means we're not trying to make everybody a runner, a marathoner. We're not trying to put them in the weight room every day. But we do know this. If we've got a wellness program in place, they're going to be a better employee. We're not going to have issues on people getting sick always on their Monday or their Friday on a shift that leaves somebody else short. And it's also going to be something that they're not only going to be a better employee, we're going to look at our insurance rates, and we may see a reduction in those, and just any number of things that are going to make them just a better fit as a deputy. The other part of that too is these guys and gals are going out every day, and they're going to get into some kind of conflict with somebody, whether it's physical or verbal. But the chances of them getting banged up in a car crash or getting shot or getting hurt on the side of the road, they've just got a lot better chance of recovering and getting back to that workplace in a lot shorter order if they're in physical health. If I go out today, and folks, obviously I'm probably the senior guy up here, and I won't make any fun of my two opponents being younger than I am and not tuned into what I do every day. But I go out and I make that run up and down College Street. Some of you may see me. But I realize at my age I've got to do things like that, because if I stop moving, I stop living. And I'm telling you, I do that because I want to go home at the end of the day and know if I've been in a crash or I'm hurt or kicked around or shot, that I'm going to recover a lot quicker and I'm going to get back on the job. So I'm a huge, huge advocate of putting that wellness program into effect at the sheriff's office, not just on the physical, but also, like I said, on the mental health and also on the financial end. The three of them all go together.
Any rebuttal, Henry?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, I couldn't agree with you more on that. That's a program we're using at Mountain Home currently, and it's awesome. It's changing officers' lives. But just to reiterate, I think that's one of the most important things we need to do as officers. It doesn't matter if you're a deputy, who you are, is our physical fitness, and we don't take care of that enough. And incentives are great, and it'd be great if we could get that money to do that, but that incentive should be this is my life. Do I want to live, and do I want to go home at the end of the day? That should be incentive enough for anybody who raises their hand and accepts the job. So excellent question.
Okay. Brian? The sheriff's office is a major part of the community. What experience do you have running such things as budget, personnel management, dealing with lawsuits, adapting to changing laws and their enforcement? Also from the North Central Board of Realtors.
Well, I've got 34 years of law enforcement experience. I've been the second in command of a police department of 45 employees. I've managed a $2.6 million budget. I'm currently on the sheriff's management team. I'm responsible for ordering and all the vehicle equipment for our vehicles at the sheriff's office, which I have to stay within budget on that. I don't remember what the other part of the question was, but
Would you like me to read the question
yeah,
again?
read again.
The sheriff's office is a major part of the community. What experience do you have running such things as budget, personnel management, dealing with lawsuits, and adapting to changing laws and their enforcements?
As far as the dealing with the lawsuits, I mean, we have measures in place at the sheriff's office that we have to enforce every day with our deputies. We have to adhere to certain policies and dealing with the public as far as use of force. The deputies have to, as being the supervisor over the patrol division, I have to make sure that these deputies fill out the proper paperwork when they do use the force, as well as adhere to the laws, so that lawsuits are easy to file nowadays. Of course, we have to defend any lawsuit, no matter if it's frivolous or not. It has to be defended until it's adjudicated in court. But we do take all the precautions that we can to prevent lawsuits.
Art?
Well, Chris, you just mapped out my entire week at the Marion County Sheriff's Office, starting on Monday, going to the next Monday, and the next Monday, about 5 of them in a row. Budget-wise, I've been very much involved in the Sheriff's Office budgeting process, not just for the 1800 or on the enforcement side, but also on the jail side. Also, prior to getting to the Marion County Sheriff's Office, ASP ran about a $96.1 or $2 million a year budget. Part of that as a criminal division commander, I was responsible for making sure that got to Internet Crimes Against Children task forces, the special agents training, travel, anything like that the CID touched. We were part of that $96.1 or $2 million. So I've got quite a bit of history dealing with that on a daily basis at ASP. But coming over to Marion County, there's 3 administrators over there, the sheriff, myself, and our administrative assistant, and we work daily. We didn't have a budget to look at very much on the first year we were there, but we've gotten in there, and we can tell you at what point, what day it is, that how far we are into the budget. If we're at 72% of the year, where we're at on our budgeting, if we're at 83%. So I've been very much involved in that. On the personnel, I'm the guy that meets them at the door. They fill out an application, again, because we're limited on administrative staff. I do the basic information on their background. I do the interviews and see that we can get them in there for a final interview if they get to that point. Very much involved in that. We've also put in a process through our accreditation that we go through, and we've started an evaluation program. If you can't tell somebody where they're at, where they need to be, and how to get there, you're kind of dropping the ball as an administrator. But we do that, and I do that, and oversee that part of it every day. As far as lawsuits, it's a lot like Brian said. We work daily to make sure that we reduce, any type of litigation that we might be running into. A major area that we look at is in the jail for obvious reasons, because we're dealing with a population back there that, 1, doesn't want to be there, and 2, does a lot of things that they never thought they were going to do on the outside. People come in there that have medication needs that they haven't had for the past 2 or 3 years, and we deal with things like that. But we mitigate those circumstances every day to make sure that we stay out of court, because we don't mind getting sued. We just don't want to get sued successfully. And that's what the taxpayers, they know we're going to get sued, but they don't want it to be successful. And we go to work every day trying to look at ways to mitigate that, whether it's by adding training events, bringing staff in and talking to them, and even disciplinary actions. We'll bring somebody in to say, let's look at this and how could we approach it again. But I'm very much involved in that process, or all those 3 processes. As far as new laws and things like that, we work closely with our legislators to let them know, hey, these are some things that we need you to take a look at. We're constantly having problems with this, or this system isn't working. But between our legislators, our prosecuting attorneys, and our deputies, we take a lot of input from them as well. So.
Okay.
Well, mine's not near as exciting as that. I was chief of police for 5 years, but my budget was $500,000, so pretty small. 323,000 of that was salaries. So that tells you right there how much money I had to work with for a year for a full-time department. I'd have to tell my guys, hey, let's not try to ruin any tires till about June or July, so we can afford to replace them. But that being said, I never came in over budget. Every one of my officers had body cameras. Every one of my officers carried had new body armor. Every one of my officers carried new firearms. So there's ways to make things work, no matter what that budget size. If you're willing to go out there and do the work for it. I also spent 4 years overseas. I spent 2 years training Iraqi police officers, and I spent 2 years working a bomb dog in Basra, Iraq. Didn't work a budget, but I worked personnel. So my job was I took care of their travel in and out of the country. I took care of their travel. We were attached to MP companies, so I was responsible for what person was going to go out with what squad that day or whatever they were going to do their travel all over the country. So I got to work with personnel quite a bit in that. I agree with what Mark says, as far as, lawsuits. We are going to get sued. You're going to get sued in this line of work, and it's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. Our job as administrators is to make sure we mitigate that and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And training. If anybody has ever heard me talk, training is one of my biggest things. We can mitigate a whole lot of that lawsuits, making sure our deputies have the proper training and the proper equipment to do their job. We're gonna produce better officers, which in turn is going to get better service to our community, and it's going to lessen those lawsuits. Sometimes as administrators, especially as elected officials, sometimes we walk around with our chest poked out, right? Because we just got elected, and this is our county. Nobody's going to tell me what to do in my county, and I think we have to make sure that we remember where our heart was when we came into this, and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It may be a 1-year officer that comes up to you and with an idea that might change the world, and make sure we're not blocking that out because we're the ones that were elected, and I think we can solve a lot of our problems that way. But
30 seconds.
Making sure we have those training in those critical areas, use of force, failure to train, failure to supervise, which I think we're kind of failing in that right now. Those are big money lawsuits for the county. We paid $100,000 this year. Could that have been
10 seconds.
taken care of earlier? I don't know, but that's something we've always got to think about and be preparing for as administrators.
Well, you came right in on budget there. All right, we are starting over. It is. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
you have a rebuttal.
Just on the aspect of training, we have 17 instructors within our sheriff's office, and we just recently this year conducted training in less lethal force, and we have sent an instructor to be trained this year. We're going to start, I think in the next couple of months, we'll be offering training in de-escalation tactics as part of the preventative measures to stop lawsuits. That's all.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to the next question. It is time to return to Mark. All right. Another long one. Sheriff Montgomery has left some pretty big shoes to fill. What policies do you plan on keeping, and what changes do you plan on making in regards to the jail, law enforcement, and sex offender tracking in the community? Submitted by the Lions Club.
First of all, Chris, and I put this in my platform pretty early on. One of the first things an administrator does when he enters into a new agency or a division, they look at 3 different things to evaluate where they're at, and they look at 1, personnel, 2, equipment, and 3, training. Those things are kind of an equation that'll tell you where you're at, again, where you need to be and how to get there. It's not going to take a long evaluation process because they use a lot of the same policies and procedures that the Arkansas or the Association of Arkansas Counties requires them to use. The Sheriff's Office in Marion County, we went through an accreditation program about a year ago, so we've got a lot of the same policies and procedures. But just to look at that can tell you, even from a distance, what we need to go in and change. But that's an ongoing process. That's not something you walk in there and I've got like, I'm going to take 6 months to review policies and procedures. You'll review those policies and procedures almost on a daily basis, and that's one thing we'll do early on with the command staff to look and see, do we have to make any of those changes? You know, the things that I've seen on the front end, on the personnel and the equipment, the training end of it, I really think anytime we can adjust our personnel needs where we can respond to our calls in a more timelier fashion and a safer fashion, that's kind of the equation we need to work, determining, how many additional deputies, what personnel that we're going to need to add to it. So looking at that, we'll look at it pretty early on in that 20 to 21 range where they're at right now to see if we can come up with maybe a different shift differential or anything like that. But that doesn't come just from the sheriff or the command staff. That also comes from talking to those deputies that are out there working that shift, working that midnight shift, working that day shift, and dealing with the different problems that they have to deal with on a regular basis.
10 seconds.
So looking at those issues, it's a constant process of evaluation, and we'll continue to do that, if elected.
Okay. Brian? Is it Henry? Okay, my bad. Henry.
One of us.
Somebody's gotta
yeah,
go.
To sit here and say that you're going to go in and make a bunch of changes right from the start is probably not the best thing to say. Things definitely need to be evaluated. I've said from day one that every employee that is currently working at the sheriff's office will have a job January 1st of 2027. I think that's still needs to be evaluated to make sure that the command staff feels like we've got the right people in the right place. The jail, in my opinion, needs a lot of. I think there's a lot of stuff we can do in the jail. I think we're missing the boat on a lot of things. Y'all have heard me say it time and time again. I believe we have to, if we want to affect change in our community, we want to lower crime, we have to do something to affect the heart and the mind of the person. If I treat you like a criminal your whole life, you're going to be a criminal, and there's just no other way around that. We have to bring these programs into our jail. We have them; they're available right now for no cost to the taxpayers. We have to bring those programs in. When I stand in front of my maker, hopefully another 50 years from now, I could stand there and hold my head proud that I did what I could do to, not only do my job and do it safely for myself and for my officers, but that I did everything I could to try to change their heart and mind, and not treat. And if we can change that one person, now I'm affecting it overall. The sex offenders, I think the sheriff's office does a great job with the sex offenders. Big shoes, maybe he's been sheriff for a long time, but he's done a great job with sex offenders, and it's one of the programs that I think he's done really, really well. We've kind of gone away from the sex offender notifications. We're not doing them, or at least I'm not hearing about it as much. But I think that's a great program. I think that's something that the community likes, and that's something that we can build on and continue. Same way with the website. That was something people like to something we need to continue. But regular, patrol, I think the patrol guys are doing a great job. I think they just need a little bit more direction, a little bit more training. Get them some interdiction stuff. Let us start working some dope. We know that's the big problem in our area is drug and alcohol abuse. So if we can get those deputies some training, start working some interdiction and things like that, I think we'll be in good shape.
All right. Now, Brian.
As far as the sheriff's office, we're going to continue to provide the same services that we're providing now. We're going to try to improve what we're doing and add more services to it. We can always use improvement. There's no one that can't use improvement. As far as the jail, I plan to use the management team to evaluate the jail, look at all the policies and stuff that we've got in place over there, see if there's anything that we need to change and do better. We have policies and procedures in place as well as cameras to prevent bad things from happening, but unfortunately when you're dealing with humans, you can't stop bad things from happening in a jail. The longer someone is in jail, the more likely you are to have a lawsuit over in the jail. But I believe that, as far as bringing programs in, I agree with that 100%, especially with our those addicted to drugs. The the problem with that is someone has got to be wanting to get help. You can't force an inmate to participate in that. The only thing you can make an inmate do when they're in jail is be in jail. If they want to participate, you can certainly have those programs available for them while they're there. As far as our sex offender registration, I think that those officers that are doing that are doing a great job. If you'll look at the arrest over the last year, especially look at last year at the number of arrests that they made for people that was violating the sex offender laws, it's completely awesome in my opinion. Those guys that's working on that, they have a passion for that, and I think the sheriff's office goes to extra lengths to notify the public on sex offenders. I've had people make comments that seem like we had more sex offenders here than they do in other parts of the state. Well, actually, if you'll actually check the numbers, we've got less sex offenders here in Baxter County than there are in other parts of the state. But we notify the public more about them than other agencies do. Thank you.
Rebuttal?
Yep, I had a quick rebuttal of the three candidates. I'm one of the candidates as a chief deputy currently that I run a jail on a daily basis. I walk through that jail, and next to use of force cases and the way we drive, which are the two leaders in litigation for law enforcement, that's probably right next to it. Well, not probably, it is right next to it as far as what we're going to get litigated or sued over, and that's jail operations. And I can tell you for 40 plus years I put people in a jail, and I never understood the process of running a jail. We've got some of the highest marks that some of the jail and detention centers in this area have ever received just on our inspection from the state, and we'll continue to do that. But I'll be, when elected, I'll be walking through that jail on a daily basis on all three shifts and looking at them, because that's a huge, huge place that we're going to get sued at. And again, we've got to keep the mitigation down there, but there's always room for improvement at the jail. And you've got one of the three
10
candidates
seconds.
right here that has run a jail and knows how to do that on a daily basis. And that means managing the population, handling the problems,
That's
and
time.
being back there every day. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All
You used
right,
up all your budget on that one.
I did.
let's move on. Henry. Okay, a handwritten note. Let's see. What is your stance on legal immigration in Baxter County?
Legal,
Illegal.
illegal.
Illegal immigration in Baxter County.
Well, it's a crime, and it needs to be taken care of. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think we're pretty blessed in Baxter County. As far as things like that. We occasionally, over my 25 years, I've had a few occasions where, I've pulled somebody over and they were here illegally, and it used to be kind of tough to get anything done unless they were, committing, a pretty serious crime. I think the way things are going now, it's a little easier if we do happen to come across those folks that we can get holds put on them pretty quick and get them in and moved out. But I mean, illegal is illegal. I am all about fair and equal law enforcement. Period. So if you're committing a crime, we're gonna arrest you, and we're gonna do everything in our power to hold you accountable. If the federal government wants to come in here, if we get a big rush of illegal immigrants in Baxter County, they're going to reach out to the sheriff, because they're going to have to get our permission to one of our permission to come in and work in this county. But we're going to give them the support they need to do their job, and to do their job safely. I think if we were seeing it across the country where some folks are kind of, law enforcement are kind of blocking that, and it causes more injuries in our community. It's causing more injuries to our officers. So I think we need to give them the support they need, try to get it done safely. I mean, illegals are humans, and we need to treat them that way. So we need to do it safely by offering them that support. But 100% against illegal immigration, and it needs to be dealt with.
Okay. Brian?
I agree. If you're in the United States illegally, then it needs to be dealt with. There's a legal way to come into the United States, and I think that we should welcome anyone that wants to come into the United States legally, especially if they're here in the United States or in Baxter County committing crimes. Most certainly it needs to be dealt with. I think we have arrested and had probably around 8 or 9 that I can think of off the top of my head that's been deported here locally for committing crimes here in Baxter County, and that's something that we will continue to look into. And the way the law currently reads is that if you don't have local charges on someone and ICE has a hold on somebody, or the federal government has a hold on someone that's illegal, that you can't detain them unless you have local charges on them. And that we do have some members of the sheriff's office that have been through ICE training just for that purpose, that if we do run across someone out here in the field that has a federal detainer on them, that we can legally take them to the jail and hold them for them to come and pick them up.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, just to hit on that, there's a program called 287G, which is from Customs and Border Patrol and ICE, doesn't require, but allows local law enforcement, whether it's a sheriff's office or the police department, to come involved, be able to not only hold them, but stop and interview and have a lot more interaction with an illegal that's on the street or that you might come into contact with. But it's a really good program. It also has some financial incentives that's allowed us to, if we're going to bring somebody into our detention facility, for instance, we can hold them, then we can and get paid for holding them. It's a little bit different from ADC. There's a lot bigger reimbursement that comes to the county for holding an illegal or somebody that's being held for ICE, and we can hold them up to a certain number of days and we'll be reimbursed by ICE. Several of the agencies in and around the state of Arkansas have opted into that program, and again, it's a federal program that ICE put out to kind of increase their partnerships with state and local law enforcement. I know locally the sheriff's office has had some people involved in it. Statewide, the Arkansas State Police have got involved in it as well. But it's a really good program that allows them not only to receive the training like Brian spoke about, but allows them to interact with their federal partners as well and have a little bit better knowledge about how to handle an illegal. Because I can tell you as a road trooper, I've done that in the past, and it was just, as Henry said, it was really difficult to get somebody to come over here and take any action if we didn't have a serious or a really hard pending charge or a felony charge on them at that point. But 287G allows us to do that, and it allows us not only to hold them, but to stop and to interview them, and also take it a little bit further. Instead of just getting that call and say, no, we can't do that. It's a federal issue. Well, the feds have made that more of a local issue, which it is if we have that problem locally. And as Henry alluded to, it's illegal immigration, and that's what we're looking at. But again, I would look as when elected to continue our interaction with our federal partners with that 287G program.
Okay. Henry?
Yeah, there's not much you can follow up on that. I think the biggest thing to take away from that is we're going to provide, any help we can. I do think it's kind of funny that, we have to have a special program for law enforcement to hold an illegal alien, but, that's the country we live in. But that's something hopefully our legislators can hammer out for sure. But, so I'll just leave you at that. We're going to offer, the whatever support we can to assist to get that taken care of.
All right. Appreciate it. It is Brian's turn to draw. All right. High-speed pursuits can put the public at risk. What clear rules would you set when deputies may engage in a pursuit? And how would you hold your department accountable for following those rules? Submitted by the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we have a pursuit policy at the sheriff's office now, and when a deputy is engaged in pursuit, the very first thing that we're required to do is contact the sheriff himself. And the sheriff, no matter what time of day it is, the sheriff himself gets on the radio and monitors that call and stays in contact with the supervisor that's on duty and makes the call as to whether the pursuit, whether the seriousness of the pursuit will allow it to continue or whether it needs to be called off, depending on the charges, for one, that the deputy has on the person that's in the pursuit, and what time of day it is. Naturally, if it's during the school time, the school buses are going to be running. That's a factor. But we try to weigh what the person is fleeing for, against the public safety, and we just have to make a judgment call on that. You know, you would like to be able to know the reason why everyone, what they've got in their vehicle and why they're running. Sometimes you just have to make a judgment call, and sometimes bad things happen, and that's not the outcome that you want. But you just have to take the totality of the circumstances and the seriousness of it, and make your decision on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, before we proceed, I'd like to remind the audience to silence your cell phones for us, please. Mark?
You bet. First of all, a great policy is hard to find, but I've lived it and trained on this, and the bottom line is that policy is not worth anything if we're not training our deputies. You've got to train them. And I think that's great that you can include the department head in that process, but a department head is absolutely the last person you need involved in a pursuit. You need that field supervisor doing that. He does not need to include anybody in that. That's micromanaging. If you look it up in the dictionary, you'll have a picture of that. But train the deputies. You know, if they're going to get sued, like I said earlier, it's going to be a use of force. And a lot of times when we run from the police, that's what we end up getting engaged in, is a use of force, and also the way we drive our vehicles. So don't think that we're gonna policy our way out of this when we're not going to. We've got to train those deputies. ASP, and I just allude to this real quick. State police started their driving program because they were pulling into a restaurant someplace and they kept on backing into somebody. That's where it had its nexus or its beginning at. And after doing that for a number of years, they kind of graduated from having a little bit of training when somebody talking to them in a classroom, where we go out, even an old guy like me, every year, I'm required to go out on that driving track and pit a car and show that I'm up to speed to be able to do that. That needs to be across the board with these deputies, because I'm telling you, the longer you let a pursuit go, you're letting a 5,000 pound bullet just continue to travel up and down the roads of Baxter County, and that's not acceptable. The longer that pursuit goes on, it increases tenfold the things that could happen to our community, your kids, your parents, anybody driving back and forth from work to a part-time job or school. And I'll tell you, I came from an agency that had to stand up and say, we're not going to do that anymore. As soon as it starts, we're going to do everything we can to end it, whether that's, whatever title that the media wants to put on it. But we stop those, because the longer those go on, they don't turn out well, folks. And do some people end up getting killed on some of those that they have on, where they have a pit maneuver? You bet they do. But those troopers are trained to do that. And we can do the same thing for these deputies, especially the road deputies. There's not a reason not to train them to be able to take some type of action to stop that pursuit. Because I'm telling you, it's not going to end well most of the time. But the longer we let those run, it's not going to be it's not going to be positive on the end of it. But training, and training that's the one thing that's going to put this to the side. But you just can't walk your way through it, or get a supervisor sitting in their living room and explain to you what you ought to be doing on a pursuit. That's beyond me that even exists.
10 seconds. Oh, you guess you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. This is something that I did as an administrator. This is something I did as a patrol sergeant. We let our patrol lieutenant know when we had a chance to, but that ultimate call was left up to that supervisor on the road. And I agree with you. And the biggest thing is, for the longest time we had a no pursuit policy in Mountain Home, and it's tough. We're geared. Everything we want to do is catch the bad guy. We want to put the bad guy away. But as you get older, and especially once you start moving up those ranks into those administrative positions, you start seeing the other side of that. Absolutely, no doubt. There's going to be a lot of things that play in there. The length of time that pursuing officer's been on the job. A good supervisor is going to know within about the first 10 seconds on if that pursuit's going to continue or they're going to terminate it, just by the way they're talking on the radio. When public safety and the need to arrest those, everything that we do in law enforcement is on that scale, right? Everything that we do. So when the need to apprehend this person in public safety start getting wound up like this, we have to terminate those pursuits. We can't allow those to go on. Right now, we don't have deputies or officers that are trained in a pit maneuver or anything like that. We carry spike strips. We carry some other tools that allow, if we can get out in front of the pursuit, to help stop it. But I've been involved in these pursuits in Baxter County that have went on forever, chasing people up into Missouri and things like that. And thank God nothing happened. But we've had some pretty bad accidents caused by pursuits in Baxter County. And again, as an administrator, our job is to mitigate and reduce those chances of lawsuits, and that's a big one. That's a huge lawsuit. If we're pursuing somebody and we kill an innocent family for that reason. We're having the opportunity this year in Mountain Home to send a couple of guys to State Police Headquarters and do some of that training. It's definitely something that we can do at Baxter County. But again, the biggest thing for me is I'm not saying we're not pursuing folks. If you break the law in Baxter County, we're gonna do everything in our power to hold you accountable. But when the need to apprehend that person is outweighed by for public safety, we're going to terminate that pursuit. We are not going to go on. I'm going to holler at that state trooper and say, "Are you close? Let's put this car in the ditch. Let's do something. Let's get it stopped." But we cannot allow that just
10 seconds.
free reign to chase whoever we want. We've got to make sure our job is to protect the community. So,
Brian, rebuttal.
Well, the patrol super currently does have the authority to terminate the pursuit. The department head is contacted so that he can be aware of what's going on. And I fully believe that needs to continue. That's not micromanaging. That department head is the one that is ultimately responsible for what happens and what the outcome is. Now, the department head the patrol supervisor has the discretion to make the decision on what to do. As far as the pit maneuvers, you can look at the state police scrapyard over in Little Rock, and they've got hundreds of vehicles that's sitting over there that's damaged. And you take a local law enforcement and start doing that, you're going to break them, because the state police has several vehicles a week that gets totaled out in Baxter County. There's no way we could afford to do that here.
Okay. Next question, Art. How would you ensure taxpayer dollars are spent efficiently, and what transparency measures would you use to make publicly available? No author.
Simply put, the legislative audit procedures that we go through on a pretty regular basis do a lot to ensure that transparency, as far as looking at what we're spending, why we're spending, taking sample audits, things like that. But legislative audit is in place just to do that to conduct those audits, to make them public and make them available to the public as well.
Okay. All right. Henry?
yeah, I don't know that I could add or change anything on that. That's why we do have those systems in place. The start of the year when that budget is approved, that's public record. Everybody knows what we have to start with and what we have to work with. Having those individual line items, knowing hey, we've got X amount of dollars to spend on training, we got X amount of dollars to spend on vehicles, and then then I agree with Mark. Having that audit at the end of the year kind of keeps us, but the door's open. If you ever have a question about the way I'm running the sheriff's office, question about budget, that door's open every day. Come knock on it. Well, I'll gladly sit with you and we'll go through the books.
Okay. Brian?
I agree with both these guys. The legislative audit and plus the budget is made public, I think, on the county's website. All that information is public information, and there's several sets of hours over in the courthouse that is going to be quick to call and tell you what you can and can't spend that money on. So it's not just like you get a $8 million checkbook handed to you and you get to go spend it on what you want. There's several sets of eyes and several sets of checks and balances, and then the quorum court that has to appropriate the funds as you use the funds. So at some point, that if you're misappropriating the funds, that's going to stop. But all that information is public, and it's made there for the public to see. So the transparency issue is not there.
Any rebuttal?
Yeah, just might add to that on the quorum court side. The quorum courts that are at work now in these counties are not the same quorum courts that were doing these type of jobs 15 years ago. They're a lot better trained. They're a lot more engaged, and they are really involved. I know where I go to work every day. They're very engaged in the budgeting process. They ask our questions. They come to the agency during the week. So there's just an extra level of that transparency that's built into it just on the efforts of the quorum court members in the judge's office.
Okay. Henry?
Felt like there was two there for a minute.
You like these big questions, don't you?
Yeah. Mark is these nice little ones. I think.
Let me get ready here. Public safety often depends on strong coordination between the sheriff's office and the city police department. What steps would you take to improve cooperation, and how would you evaluate whether the partnership is effective? Submitted by the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow, great question. I am so glad I drew that. I think it's very important in Baxter County. Mountain Home has the same size department as Baxter County. They have a little bit more resources. My chief is sitting right here in this room, so I'll say this because I may not get elected. I'm still going to have a job here come March. He knows where my heart lies with the sheriff's office. I think, we should be side by side on everything we do. There's nothing more that I'd like to see than a joint training facility. Where we have a place where every department in Baxter County can go train together. The cases that the city of Mountain Home is working are the same cases that Baxter County is working. They're just different locations. Most of the time, bad guys are the same folks, just moving from one street to the next, make it a county or city case. So having those people in together, I've been a member of Mountain Home's special response team since 2009. We have worked tirelessly to make that a multi-jurisdictional team in Baxter County. We have the support of the chief of police. We have the support of the prosecutor. We could never get the support of the sheriff on board. It's so important in today's world. We have a matrix that we use. We have bad people in Baxter County that want to do bad things to you. And if you have a team that has a little extra training, has a little bit extra equipment, to utilize that. Right now, Baxter Mountain Home it does, if it's a 14th judicial warrant and they need a team, they call Mountain Home. As a sheriff, I may not be able to afford to put a whole team, but I can probably afford to put two people on that team. Right now, I just made a multi-jurisdictional team. Now I've opened myself up for more, federal money. Now maybe I'm doing things with federal money rather than tax money.
Okay. Brian.
I think Mountain Home Police Department and Baxter County Sheriff's Office has a great working relationship. Our investigators, their investigators, our deputies, and their patrol officers, we work together multiple times throughout the year. We've been on calls out in the county, and the Mountain Home Police Department has come out there to assist us, as well as our deputies going into the city and helping them. So I don't think there's any type of issue as far as us being able to work together. I think that's great, and we're going to continue that. As far as the special response team, that's the first that I've heard about that, and I would certainly, if I'm elected sheriff, I would certainly entertain talking with the police department about getting involved in that.
Okay.
I agree with both the other candidates. That's something that should be looked at. But I can tell you this: I've been working major criminal cases up here for a number of years, whether they're homicides, robberies, rapes, or narcotics, at both agencies. And I think there's a desire for all, not just the state police to work with them and be that assisting agency, but for those to be partnered up, whether it's for a special response team. And I tell you, I spent 12 years with the state police SWAT team, traveling all around the state, going on calls. And I can remember years ago having joint training with the Mountain Home team over at, I think we went to Fort Chaffee. So it's one, they've got an excellent team. They've got a good group of officers to come together, but that's just a force multiplier for us to put together for the police department, the sheriff's office. And it just makes sense to do that. We're getting to a point now that if you needed a state police or somebody to come up to this area, takes a long time to move 35, 40 troopers up here and all the assets it takes. But a lot of these type incidents can be resolved in a short period of time if we've got the right people on scene and making the decisions they need to make. Henry talked about that matrix. That's a decision-making tool that we can put into place right there on the scene, and based on the number of people we've got, the threat that's been presented, things like that, and we can do the math on it pretty quick, and it tells us, yes, we need to go on and make an entry or do this. But those are things we didn't even think about doing years ago, but it's absolutely something we need to be looking at as far as working together. And I've said for years, and I've told police and sheriffs for a number of years as a state police investigator, we'll work it with you or we'll work it for you, but we're not going to work it without you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good follow-up. I mean, great. You know, I think maybe, hopefully, we're all on the same page on this. I think it's, I think in our community, and I want to be clear. I don't think we have a bad working relationship now. I don't want anybody to think that at all. My guys know if I call for the county, they're going to come running. If they call for us, we're going to go running. Where I see it is there's a progression. There is no reason, and I brought it up first. There is no reason for the size of Baxter County and the size of Mountain Home that we can't have a dedicated training facility right here, where officers can go get training. You know, and I think that's something one department maybe not can't afford that, but now we start putting two departments together. Now we start throwing Gasville and Cotter in there. Hey, like, we don't have a lot of money, but
10
you know,
seconds.
I got $1,500 we can throw in that. So I think there's a whole lot more that we can do to build those departments working together.
All right. Last question. All right. That goes to you, Brian. What is the biggest problem you see within the BCSO currently, and how would you fix it? Submitted by the Baxter County Republican Committee.
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, I think we can improve on everything. You can never have too much improvement. I guess if I had to pick one area that needs improvement, I would have to say that we probably need more training, and we've been working on that over the last couple of years, and got quite a bit of training already scheduled for this year. So if I had to pick one area that I thought may be a weak point, I would have to be training.
Okay.
Without a doubt, training number one, with a very close second to not having body-worn cameras.
Amen.
It's absolutely beyond me that we've got law enforcement in this day and time that aren't running body-worn cameras every place that they go. I read an article recently from PERF, they're a big kind of policy maker for law enforcement, and they put out an article that said, without a doubt, there's one other piece of equipment over the last 80 years that's had more impact on law enforcement and policing than a body-worn camera. And folks, it was a two-way radio. And we've been talking on the radio for probably 80 years to look at that. But to say that there's nothing any more important that's come along in the last 75, 80 years than that, but we absolutely have to do that. But the training will fix a lot, because a good example, we had deputies that weren't shooting probably for a year or two when we got over to Marion County. We've upped that to about 5 times a year that we hit the range. Shooting is a perishable skill. If you don't do it, you lose that skill. And so we've increased that, and we try to schedule about 5 times a year, because we know if we schedule 5, they'll probably hit 3 of them. But training is an answer and opens a lot of doors and closes a lot of doors they're problematic. But training is absolutely probably the one major thing that I see that could fix a lot of things that need fixing, not just at the sheriff's office, but at a lot of different agencies. And for whatever reason, whether it's shift, where the shifts are set up, we looked at having a common day where I'm at now, so we've got one day in the middle of the week that if we're going to have a one-day training facility or a training event at a facility, we can bring everybody in on that one day, and we're not going to have to worry about overtime, comp time, and things like that. But training is absolutely, without a doubt, probably the biggest catch. And it's not just for the sheriff's office. For agencies all over the state, all over the country, I think if you ask that question, you send an email out, you'd get a response, and I'd say probably 90% of it would be training, just because training affects everything that we touch. It affects our report writing, our evidence handling, how we're going to operate in the jail. It's just not an issue for the patrol deputies either. It covers everybody. How about our command staff? If we've got command staff that every time somebody does something that's contrary to policy and they want to fire them, maybe we need to look at our command staff and do some training, maybe some advanced training or some supervisory training for them. But folks, without a doubt, personnel and training and all those things that I talked about earlier, personnel training and equipment, those are the three big items. And if you'll go through that checklist and put that together, without a doubt, training is probably going to be the one that sticks out most to everybody. But again, training is, without a doubt, could make a major difference at what goes on at the sheriff's office.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but Mark took the words out of my mouth there. When I ran in 2022, my platform was body cameras and training. It is 2026. My platform is body cameras and training. It's beyond me how we've gotten to this point. And again, I said it earlier. I had a $500,000 budget. $323,000 of that was salaries. Every one of my officers, including myself, had body cameras, body worn cameras in flipping. So it can be done. It just blows me away that we're not at that point. But training again, I don't want to beat it to death, but 95% of the things that we have we can correct with training. Our supervisors are at Mountain Home. We do a body cam audit every quarter. As a sergeant, I pull those body cam. They're random. They pull up. I watch how they're interacting with the public. All these things. So we can deal with problems before they become problems. So if I start seeing a pattern as a supervisor, now I can go to that officer and say, hey, maybe we're starting to have some issues here. Maybe we need to address this before it becomes a problem. So that allows for that continuing training. When we have a pursuit, when we have a use of force issue, that's was my job as a sergeant. I'm going to pull that policy down. That policy that everybody got and everybody read, and I'm going to set it down there. I'm going to pull their body camera video, and I'm going to have that right in front of me, and then we're going to go over that. Was there any place in there that we were outside of policy? Did we do everything that we were supposed to do? Did we dot those I's, cross those T's, and everything like that? So once I signed off on that use of force report or that pursuit report, and it went to my lieutenant, and then it went to the assistant chief, and then it went to the chief, that we've done it, that we've made sure we've done everything inside that policy. So huge training in jail. We need that jail is number one. It's going to get us sued. We've seen it over and over again. It's going to making sure, and that goes back to training too. I don't know what it is now. I know back in the day, we used to have jailers that worked 6, 7, 8 months, had never been to a jailer's course. They're getting a little bit of training from the people next to him. Hopefully that's a little bit better now. But making sure these folks have this training, that is what's going to mitigate those lawsuits in the end. We are going to get sued, but it's those ones that we want to make sure we're winning those. So.
Okay.
Real quick on body cameras, I'm for body cameras. We will have body cameras under my administration, but I believe it'll be done with a careful and thought out plan. If I'm wrong, I'll admit later that I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be a very costly overtaking. Aside from the cost of the cameras, you got to pay for cloud storage. What you're looking at the research that we've done so far, you're looking at $1,000 to $1,500 per officer. We got 50 officers. The FOI request, Freedom of Information request, there's no way that we have the staff that's going to be able to answer those. We'll have to hire an employee to do that, and that is not in the budget. So it's going to have to be figured out. We're going to get body cameras under my administration, but we're going to have to do it with a very careful plan and be able to present that, do some testing and evaluation on cameras and figure out where to come up with the money to
10
present it
seconds.
to the quorum court for approval.
Okay. That is the end of our questions. Let's give these guys a round of applause.
Thank you.
It would be better for you to ding it?
I don't know. I'll ask the king. You want to ding? Well, I know the dong, but I mean, would y'all moderator, am I live? I guess go ahead and make my mic live already. All right. Can I go ahead and Can I go ahead and get the judge candidates to come up? Maybe we need here we go. Can I go ahead and get our judge candidates come on up to the front here? Calling all judge candidates. They took a smoke break. All right, we got one. We need another. Need one more. Right over here, be fine. Don't die on the way up. I know. Not everybody needs a break. That was intense. Ow. I put it above my ears like this, and then I have noticed if you put it too close to your nose, you'll breathe into it. So you get to catch the breath. Okay. As soon as Eric shows up.
What's this guy's name in the plaid shirt? I can't remember his name.
Gary.
What's the last name?
Good.
What's he do for a living? Do you know?
Yeah. Am I live? I think I'm live. Okay. No. Okay. What's your last name? Gary. I can't remember. Last name? Moppin. Works at school. Yeah, works at school.
Yeah.
Like, I forget what now. Where is our other candidate? Did he forfeit?
He may have left.
Can someone find Eric?
I think he probably went to the bathroom.
Okay.
There were several in there.
Okay, fair enough. Oh yeah, we got a bunch left.
It's pushing it, ain't it?
No.
Hour and 15. I think we'll go through them. I really think we'll go through them pretty quick.
Yep.
I'm short for words. I think Eric is too.
All right, there's Eric. All right. Let's go ahead. Can you go ahead and get my mic live? I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the folks. I don't know. You can do what you want. I kind of like it over the ears and kind of settle it down. Yeah, there we go. I think that. All right, that should be good. You want to do a mic check? Yeah, I will. We did that. How did we do it last time? I don't remember.
So you know how he did that?
You were live right there.
He talked. It was words that couldn't be heard, so I'm going to have him hit that glass. That's why I got the glass and the thing. So that'll be the 10-second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of him cutting.
You don't have to worry about me and Eric. I think we're good.
No, I'm pretty sure we can get her settled up pretty quick.
Well, let's go ahead and flip. We'll go ahead and flip to see who goes first. Can I?
Me?
Let me let everybody know. All right, we're about to get started here. If y'all can go ahead and find your seats. Remember to silence your cell phones for us. Very distracting for our candidates. Let's go ahead and flip. Go ahead and call.
Tails.
It's heads. All right, Kevin, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? You got 1 minute?
Sure will. Good evening. I'm County Judge. I'm Baxter County Judge Kevin Liddy. Glad to be here. Glad we got such a good group here tonight. So I started my public service career in 1993 with the Mountain Home Police Department as a part-time officer. I retired from there in 2022 when I was elected county judge. I'm in my 4th year of my first term. We've accomplished a lot of good things in Baxter County. Look forward to serving the citizens of Baxter County in the future, and glad to be here. Thank you.
Eric?
My name is Eric Payne. I'm running for Baxter County Judge. I live in North Fork, born and raised. Been in the excavation business for 25 years. Been married to my wife for 26 years. Have 3 kids we've raised at North Fork. And I'm glad to see everybody here. And other than that, this is a good turnout. And educated voter is a good voter. Thank you.
All right. All right, first question comes to you, Kevin. How do you plan to balance protecting private property rights with responsible growth and development in our county submitted by the Board of Realtors.
So he lost the toss. Do you go first or do I?
I thought you won.
I won the toss?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Read it to
Would
me.
you like me to read it
Read it
again?
to me again, yeah. I thought he was going first.
Okay. Let me read it again for you. How do you plan to balance protecting private property rights with responsible growth and development in our county?
So, as a county judge, you know you're in a learning curve when you start a job like this. And when I took this job, I was big on economic development in our county. But it's got to be the right kind of economic development that suits our county and suits our citizens and suits our workforce, because we're shy on our workforce, and that's what keeps some businesses from coming here. For instance, the Aldi's that's going on out here right now, it's the type of business that we enjoy to see coming to our area. We can provide the workforce for that, and some other things going on in Baxter County that's not public right now. But we got to grow slow, just because we don't have the workforce to put in these businesses that are looking to come here. And but good, positive, slow growth is good for this community. And I think, and I'm with that, we're not going to violate anybody's property rights. So I don't see that.
Okay.
Good.
Eric?
Very good.
Would you like me to read the question again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. How do you plan to balance protecting private property rights with responsible growth and development in our county?
Well, I'm really big on private property rights. I think if you own a piece of land, you should do whatever you want to do with it. But I think you can also be neighborly and ask these, for instance, say that there's a junkyard. I think there's laws in place that, like fences and such, that we can enforce and ask our neighbors to, them being neighbors, we can ask them to clean it up and perform business right in town, or present their property the way that it's presentable to everybody. That way everybody's property rights stay intact and everybody's property values stay intact.
Rebuttal? You're done, right?
Yeah.
Rebuttal?
So coming from the city government and then moving to county government like I have, I've dealt a lot with complaints on some private properties in the county. It's very difficult to enforce in the county, and most people, like Eric just said, you know, if somebody has what we consider a junkyard, it may be a junkyard, but it's not illegal to have a junkyard in the county. It's illegal to have a trash dump in the county, and we can enforce cleaning up trash dumps. But just because somebody don't live the way we do, we can't violate their rights and enforce something that is their choice.
Okay. Eric? Should financial incentives from the county budget be used to attract new businesses to Baxter County? Should they be used to keep existing businesses provided by Embrace Church?
Just mine?
That is yours. You pulled it, it's yours.
Sounds good. I don't believe there's a place in a government for private business needs to stay private business. I don't believe a government is an investment company. I believe that, as a matter of fact, Ronald Reagan one time said that there is nothing that the government can do more efficient than private business. So I believe that the government needs to serve the people that they tax. And by doing that, I believe that this is roads, funding 911 service, so on and so forth. But in order to make this place a great area to do business, I think government should make it easy to do business in Baxter County. When a business wants to come into here, we should do everything in our power to make it easy to do business in Baxter County, not write them checks. I disagree with that, writing checks, very strongly.
Kevin?
So we have different opinions when it comes to this. I think we and I, as elected official, have a certain amount of responsibility that we have to do. We have to provide economic growth in our community. If not, we fall flat on our faces, like some of these other county judges that I deal with throughout the state. And there's 75 counties in the state of Arkansas, and some of them can't make payroll. But anyway, Baxter County has been fortunate enough that we can, and we're flourishing right now. And And for the county, and this is nothing new, what Baxter County has done recently, referring to this question, and it's referring to the Aldi's project. I was supportive of giving some money there as site development to help that business come here, because if I can keep my kids and my grandkids and yours here to go to work, that's my job, is to grow our community. So what we did when we created that fund, we went through the Economic Development Committee. And this is unheard of, because I took the power out of my hands and gave it to the committee. We created a fund. They're fully in charge of it. They disperse it as they wish. Now, usually when a fund is created under the judge, he can disperse it as he wishes. But I have no say in that. I don't have a vote in it. It's that committee itself. But if we don't do a certain amount, our responsibility is to do a little bit of help with economic development in this county. We set perimeters how we give that money. We don't just give it to people that come begging or hold their hand out. It's mainly just site development, which we did out here at Aldi's. We put $15,000 into that deal. But if Aldi's is an average store for this county, average, it will bring us about $125,000 to $30,000 a year in revenue, average. Now, I talked to people in the retail business, former managers of Walmart, and that worked there all of their lives, and they say Aldi's will be by far more than an average store when it comes to this county, because they were waiting for it to come. So, if we put $15,000 into it and our return in a year is $125,000 to $50,000, that's a good investment for our citizens.
Okay. Eric, rebuttal.
Again, I believe that our government is not an investment company. We should serve the people that we already tax. These people with this, and Aldi's. Let me make this very clear. I am not against Aldi's. I believe private business should stay private business. I believe government should stay serving the people that they tax. I just don't, these people, they know their business. This $16,000 that we wrote them a check for did not make their mind up. This is, it's about dollars and cents. These people knew they wanted to come into Baxter County. They knew they was going to come into Mountain Home, and in my mind, it's just wasteful spending of our taxpayers.
Rebuttal over. Is the rebuttal over at that point?
Yes, yeah, that was the rebuttal. Yes.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay. No, we're not going to do that, and
Yeah.
we're not going to tolerate foul language tonight.
I'd ask anybody not to speak like that, please.
Okay. Kevin, your question.
Yes.
Thank you. What is your vision for growth in our county over the next 5 to 10 years, and how does real estate fit into that vision? This is from the North Central Board of Realtors.
We're kind of hitting on the same lines here. So, my vision is strong. I want good conservative growth that fits our community, that fits our workforce. We've got to grow our workforce. We've got to have better paying jobs to bring our kids back home when they get out of college. I don't have the answer for all that, but I know I am a supportive, and we go back to economic development. I support it. We got to have it. If we don't, we can't take care of our roads. We can't buy equipment to take care of our roads. We can't pay our employees. Baxter County has about 190 employees on the payroll right now. And when I first started on the quorum court back in 16, 17, it was hard to make payroll. It's not anymore. So we've got to continue that. We were pretty flat this year on tax revenue in Baxter County. It was up a little bit, but not a lot. But you're going to have years like that. But I'd rather be flat than down. And we got to continue to have good, modest growth. And there's things going on in the county right now that a lot of folks don't know of. But we have good, modest growth going on here that will benefit this county greatly.
Okay, Eric.
Well, I think we do it by investing in what we've got, infrastructure, maintaining the infrastructure that we have, making it easy to do business in Baxter County. And I think that this area kind of sells itself. Who don't want to come to Baxter County? We've got lakes, clean lakes. We've got rivers. Your kids can, you can do business here. You fund your 911 service, and you fund your infrastructure. You build your infrastructure, and you got a business to open in the morning whenever you close it at night. You don't. That's why you fund your 911 service. Your kids can go to a movie and they're not going to get mugged. This is all part of doing, funding what you have and building what you have. And with doing that, you make this area great. And who wouldn't want, I mean, this area is great. So why wouldn't you want to, why wouldn't these businesses want to come here?
Okay, rebuttal.
The kind of businesses we need to come here is we need to have the kind of business that want to come here that can pay a higher wage than typically a lot of our businesses pay. You know, a college graduate don't want to come back to Mountain Home and make $40,000 a year. You know, they want to make 75 or 80. So we got to attract the kind of businesses that can pay them kind of wages. And we are a retirement community. But when them retirees come here, we want their grandkids to come with them and help grow our community.
Okay. Eric? What role should special interest of the county judge or close personal friendships play in decisions or priorities of the county judge submitted by Embrace Church?
Absolutely none. Everybody should be treated equally. Everybody's taxpayers. Everybody should be treated equally.
It's pretty clear.
Read that again for me, Rick.
What role should special interest of the county judge or close personal friendships play in decisions or priorities of the county judge?
Absolutely none. We're here to serve the citizens, which is about 43,000 in this county, and everything we do under county government. County government is created to serve a large group of people, not one individual person. So, yeah, none.
Any rebuttal?
Nope.
All right. Kevin?
A lot of paper in there.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of questions. How do you measure success in your role, and how can the public hold you accountable? Submitted by the Board of Realtors.
I measure success of what you accomplish, or what I don't like to say I say we. You know, so when I became county judge, I made it a priority of mine to have a working relationship with our elected officials. We meet once a month. We have good working relationships, and we make decisions together. You know, the county judge has the authority to make a lot of decisions without a group being involved in that. But it's not good. It's not good for the relationships that you're working on developing, and it's not good for the citizens, I don't think, to make that on your own. Include a group. We are all put here for the betterment of Baxter County as elected officials, and I've made a priority that we work together.
Okay. Eric?
Read that again.
How do you measure success in your role, and how can the public hold you accountable?
I think the county, as far as county judges,
Yes.
the role of county.
Let me put it like this. How do you measure success in your role as county judge, and how can the public hold you accountable?
I think that how you measure success in that role is if you keep positive, if you keep building Baxter County in a positive direction. In other words, if you're maintaining roads, you're hard surfacing roads, you're funding your 911 services, you've got people coming here in this area, they want to come here to this area, you got vacation people coming to this area, this is a nice area. This is one way you can measure success. Accountable, I think you need an open door policy, transparency. You know, if you can't justify what you're doing, chances are you don't even be doing it.
Yeah, you done?
I'm
All right.
done.
Rebuttal?
I don't know.
No rebuttal. Okay. Eric? How would you ensure that the office of the county judge is operated in an ethical and beneficial manner that serves all Baxter County residents? Submitted by Embrace Church. Would you like me to read that one again?
Yeah, read it.
Yeah, I stumbled 2 or 3 times. Let me try it again. How would you ensure that the office of the county judge is operated in an ethical and beneficial manner that serves all of Baxter County residents?
I think you have an open door policy. Answer the phone, return phone calls. Your department heads, I think you put good people where they are going to thrive, and then you give them the tools to thrive. And by doing this, you create a environment where everybody in Baxter County is reaping the benefits of it.
Kevin?
Read that again, Chris.
How would it's a complicated question.
Yeah, it is.
How would you ensure that the office of county judge is operated in an ethical and beneficial manner that serves all Baxter County residents?
So, by doing what I do now, I mean, we're transparent. The door's always open. I communicate daily with the citizens of Baxter County. Not only that, I'm not a chair guy. I get out and look at complaints to understand how people feel. It's hard to listen to a complaint on the phone and exactly know what somebody's expressing of their issues they're having. So I've developed that. I mean, with the working relationship with our citizens, our elected officials, transparency, our open door. That's what we're doing right now.
Rebuttal? Okay. Give it a good shake. There you go.
My turn again?
Yeah. I think so. If it's not, someone better keep me honest. I think, according to my chart, it's your turn. Regarding the quarry on County Road 69, would you abide by the Reclamation Act for Arkansas that requires a quarry to be closed if it is no longer used for mining? Submitted by Betty Evans, resident of JP District 11.
My turn?
Yes.
Okay. The quarry has been an issue, as you all know. The county owns the quarry. We still use it. We don't mine gravel out of it, but we do use it for different things. We're not doing anything illegal at the quarry. We right now we're renting it, leasing it to, or renting a piece of it to Energy, which supplies a large part of the power to Baxter County. We also have an agreement with ADEQ, an agreement with North Arkansas Electric that trims our power lines and keeps our power on for a very, very large part of Baxter County. ADEQ allows us to have an agreement with them to let them dump their tree debris, limb debris, on these right-of-ways that they're clearing on our quarry. And law also allows us to burn their debris with an agreement with ADQ. So everything going on at the quarry, regardless of some comments that you hear, is legal. I'm here to do what is right. I'm here to protect our citizens, our county, our water, our kids. I survived a 28-year career in law enforcement without one write-up. So I'm here to do what's right and do what's legal for Baxter County, and we will continue to do what we're doing. We own the property. We don't have to close it down, and we're going to use it as we're using it.
Okay. Eric?
I think there's some questions on the quarry that needs to be answered, some concerns. I'm part of the economic committee, and we've addressed some of them, but there's still some concerns. I think the quarry should be used. It should be utilized because it is county property. I don't know exactly, and I think we need to stay within the law of using that. But as long as there's a citizen or citizens that may be having issues, we need to address these problems and make sure if we're going to be transparent, let's be transparent and make sure that everybody is safe in Baxter County, including, I think there's some concerns about water supply. And I don't think putting a gate up is the answer. I think these concerns need to be addressed.
Okay. Rebuttal? Kevin?
So as a county judge and being overall a county property, I got to make the right decisions, I think, for the citizens of Baxter County. So with the complaints we've had about the quarry, and that's what this question is referring to, we had the solid waste district representative from Harrison come over here and look at the quarry, and he found no wrongdoing in any way, shape, or form. And not only that, some people was not satisfied with his recommendation that how we operate the quarry. We had a representative from ADEQ come up here from Little Rock. They walked the quarry on foot and found no wrongdoing on our part. So I can tell you, as a county judge, we will continue to do what we're doing at the quarry, and we will continue to do what is legal. And if it comes to the point where it's not legal, we will quit.
Okay. Eric, your turn. Since we have county roads in Baxter County that are in dire need of repair, we want to know how it is determined when county roads get repaved. This is from the Elks Club.
Repaved.
They want to know how you determine when county roads get repaved. That's specifically repaved.
Repaved, I would say, number one, safety. Number two, we can't afford to let these county roads go to turn back into gravel roads. So whenever you can resurface a gravel road for a small amount compared to what you can build a gravel road. And I live on 3 miles of gravel road. I'm not naive. I know that it will always be a gravel road. A gravel road will never be a paved hard surface road until it is. So, but with this gravel road question, or with this road question, I want to address the we need to have these roads on a schedule. And that's, as I said, I live on a gravel road, and these gravel roads have been neglected for 3 years. And I wouldn't say that unless I lived on gravel road. But I'm a dirt guy. I know these gravel roads. It is cheaper to maintain these gravel roads than it is to neglect them until election year.
Okay. Kevin?
Heard your question.
All right. Since we have county roads in Baxter County that are in dire need of repair, we want to know how it is determined when county roads get repaved.
So you're right. We do have a lot of county roads in dire need of repair, and we've been repairing and replacing county roads at a very fast pace, in my opinion. So I inherited a lot of bad county roads, as we all know. You can't fix all county roads in 3 years. But we bought my first year in office. We bought a road reclaimer, which goes in and grinds up these roads. It's beyond repair. We've worked east of Mountain Home for 3 years, and we're making a lot of headway out there on the roads we're replacing. We got about probably 4 or 5 miles ground up right now to resurface next year. I can tell you, as any county judge, is not going to accomplish our road repair projects in 3 years or 4 years, and it'll take several years. But we've combated our road issues in Baxter County. We went from owning 7 graders to 8. I bought 2 new graders this year. One was a replacement, one was an addition. We're running 7 to 8 graders daily now, compared to 6 when I took office in 2023. So we're combating our road problems. We spent over $1 million a year, over $750,000 this year on new graders, and we're combating our road problems. And it's of course, you know, when you decide which ones you want to replace, I let our road and bridge crews determine that. They've been at this for, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years on some of them, and they give me a list. I can look at them as they give me a list, but I let them make that decision.
Eric, rebuttal?
I want to be real clear about the road and bridge department. I think these people are doing, at the road and bridge department, I think they're doing a great job. These people show up to work. They do what they're let to do. But at the end of the day, the deciding factor, you can only do what your boss will let you do. And at the end of the day, this responsibility falls at the judge's office. And these roads, and I live on these roads, I drive these roads are not maintained on a regular basis. We can do a better job. And it don't matter how many graders you've got on these roads. You've got to have operators, trained operators, that know what they're doing. That know you need to give them ownership of these roads. And whenever you do that, you're going to see a big difference in Baxter County roads.
I got to use my spoon. I'm very excited
Well, at least
about
you didn't
that.
slap me on the hand.
Oh, that's right. All right. Next question is for Kevin.
Can I redraw? I didn't want a poem.
Okay. The disposal of the old First Baptist Church is one of the disposed buildings in the quarry that made the old quarry into a Class 4 landfill. This disposal was done without a liner to keep from contaminating our underground water. How do you plan to address this problem that has been created? Jim Baker, candidate for JP District 9.
My first.
Yeah, sure.
You're right. So we had the solid waste district come over and look at this, the old First Baptist Church before it was tore down. It was rock, lumber, shingles, several different components. We was able to dispose of nearly all of the old First Baptist Church in the quarry out there, except for the roof. They told us we had to take it to meth and sanitation, which we did. I think we completely operated within the law. We got approval to do it before we did it, and it was okay. I mean, simple as that. There's been no evidence of anything out there in that quarry that's contaminated anybody's water, well, or anything else. I can explain more out in that area. There's a mud vein that runs out in that area. I've talked to well drillers, I've talked to pump men, and I've talked to septic men. There's a mud vein that runs out through 5 South, and God bless Jim Breaker, he lives on a mud vein, and he has to filter his water, just like many people do. I've got an uncle that lives out there that just built his 3rd house below the quarry that is filtering his 3rd well on his 3rd house. It's not causing him to move off. He just filters his wells. That quarry's been there for probably about as long as I've been here. So there's been no change in what's done at that quarry in the last year or two that's been done in the last 30.
Eric?
Can you read that again?
Yes, sure.
Just to make sure.
The disposal of the old First Baptist Church is one of the disposed buildings in the quarry that has made the old quarry into a Class 4 landfill. This disposal was done without a liner to keep from contaminating our underground water. How do you plan to address this problem that has been created?
So, the last I heard that we don't need to make our old county crusher a landfill, and I guess the right answer would be to ask EDAQ and to be transparent about it and clean up what has happened. And I don't know exactly all the details that's happened, but as long as we keep everything cleaned up and keep everybody safe, drinking water good, transparency, I guess, would be my.
Okay.
So you said that question was from Mr. Jim Baker, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to refer to Mr. Jim Baker. He had his well tested. We had our water at the quarry tested. Had the health department, ex-employee of the health department, look at our water test and look at his test. His well water tested better than our quarry water, but they were both drinkable, usable. Our water supply there at the quarry is an open source water supply. It was recommended if you're going to drink it, boil it first. But other than that, completely fine. No toxics, no chemicals that was above any standard level that they offer. I've got them water test over there in that folder. Yeah, anybody's welcome to read them. Good luck, because I had to get somebody to explain it to me. But anyway, we've not contaminated anything, and we're not going to at the quarry.
Okay. Eric? Should Baxter County financial surpluses and/or reserves be used to decrease the county tax rate to remain competitive with neighboring counties? From Embrace Church.
Well, that's a real good question. So, as far as I'm concerned, your government, our government, does not provide any kind of product. So there's only one way or two ways that your government gets a reserve, and that's either you're overtaxed or you're underserved. Now, with that being said, I think it's really important to have a reserve. I think every household should have a reserve. So, as you know, I think as long as there's going to be a happy medium there, as far as I think to stay competitive with, you know, we're talking about economic development here and there. People disagree, agree, whatever. But as long as, you know, let's just say, let's take Aldi's, and again, we're just Aldi's because this is fresh on everybody's mind. But Mountain Home's got a 9.8% tax, and as long as West Plains got a, and I don't quote me on this because I'm just going West Plains or Harrison, as long as they got a 6% tax, 7% tax, whatever their tax is, they're always going to be cheaper at these places. So yeah, these are things that maybe we should make our dollar count. Whenever we spend $1 of tax money, we need to get $1 of stuff for that tax dollar. So this is stuff that we need to look about in order to stay competitive.
Kevin?
Read your question again, Chris.
Should Baxter County financial surpluses and/or reserves be used to decrease county tax rate to remain competitive with neighboring counties?
So this is my 4th year in office. You know, I've been able to. I've not increased any tax rate in the county. City tax rate is pretty high, and they get most of that. You know, the county has a reserve, and the reason the county has a reserve right now, if you want to call it a reserve, my treasurer don't appreciate that, but the reason the county has a abundance of money right now on hand is because of COVID. COVID was good to Baxter County. It allowed us to fund the sheriff's office budget with COVID money and keep our own money. So in a turn, we had a little cushion there to hold. Yeah, we should have a cushion. There'll be hard times that hit Baxter County once again one day that we saw 6-7 years ago. That you know, may be worse than the last time, but we have the money to do it. We have to do as we need to do. We've raised our wages in Baxter County, and you know, the city used to outpace the county with wages. It's not that way anymore. We're catching up, and I just, you know, straight up, COVID was good to Baxter County. It helped us get to where we are today, and we're very stable and strong financially.
Rebuttal?
Yeah.
No? Sounds good. All right. Kevin, your question?
Getting low. Getting low.
Oh, yeah. Good. The Airport Commission was terminated and replaced with an advisory board. Why is this better for the citizens of Baxter County? From the Baxter County Republican Committee. Yes, you first.
Okay. I'm going to go into detail here. When I became county judge in 2023, we had an issue at the airport of a lease not being written that was given that an individual here in Baxter County that invested a lot of money in a terminal that's sitting on our property. Keep in mind, our property, that he can never take back. He invested a lot of money in it, and a previous commission back in 2018 gave him the terms to be of his lease before that hangar was completed, and the commission gave him a written lease on the terms that he was given when he put $400,000 plus of his own money into a building sitting on our property. Now it's on our property, so they gave him the terms to be. The commission started changing. Well, it acquired some commissioners that would not write him a lease on that hangar, and he had to, which he originally had agreement to have. So as them commissioners started changing, they were wanting to write him a different lease, or wouldn't even write him a lease. You know, they said they was working on it when I got here, and I gave them 2 years to do it. They couldn't get it done. But anyway, we wrote him a lease, myself and a county attorney, based on the terms that was given to him when he put his money into that hangar. Now, I did it under the advice of an attorney because the attorney told myself and the commission we will be sued, and how often does the attorney tell you we will lose? The county didn't need to be sued, and the county didn't want to reimburse this individual $400,000+. in my opinion, it was water under the bridge when I got here, and let's move forward. And you can't move forward with what's worried if you worry about what's under the bridge behind you. So we did that. We wrote a lease. The FAA approved it, and things are good at the airport.
Yes, sir.
Ready-
The airport commission was terminated and replaced with an advisory board. Why is this better for the citizens of Baxter County?
Well, I don't believe it is better. I voted against this. I thought the commission needed to stay in place. That there is no checks and balances at our airport. It's and as of Quorum Court last month, everything's going good at the airport, but nobody's there to checks and balances. It's just what our judge says. As far as the airport hangar that is on our property, county property, that's very true, but y'all can never use it because it's an individual's hangar. And I think that checks and balances should be and whenever there's county money involved, or federal or tax dollars involved, there should be some checks and balances. Now they're going to say that there's an advisory board out there, but whenever I voted on this, whenever I'm first entered into Quorum Court, and I was told that we was going to get to pick this advisory board. We got introduced to this advisory board. This is a far cry from getting to pick the advisory board. So there is just no checks and balances out at the airport. And I am for the airport. I think this airport needs to have a direction where everybody can use this airport. That may be a 5-year plan. That may be a 50-year plan. I have no idea. We need people at the airport that knows how to run an airport. And I'm even interested in aviation, but I'm not interested in running an airport. And I think a quorum out there or some kind of a committee would just be the best for everybody in the county.
Kevin, your rebuttal?
Okay, under Arkansas law, county court, and that refers to me and our 11 JPs, can establish an advisory board or can establish an administrative board. We had an administrative board. It wasn't working for us, and they were going to get us sued and cost us $500,000. So we were violating FAA guidelines because we didn't have a written lease. We wrote a lease, and we abolished the administrative board, and we formed an advisory board that is working very, very well for Baxter County. Now let me tell you something. People say, well, the county judge is in direct control of the airport. Yeah, I am, but guess what? I got an airport director out there that runs that place. County judge is 100% in control of road and bridge. I got a road and bridge superintendent that runs that $6 million budget out there, and if he needs me, he calls me. So don't be led down the wrong road that the county judge makes all decisions with the airport. We got an airport director out there that's doing a very good job. Our revenue's up. We're seeking $2 million in grants right now to build about 7 hangars and rehab our taxiway.
Yep, time's up. All right. Next question.
A bunch of these, ain't there?
Okay. We'll be here a few minutes. All right, here we go. All right, well, here we go again. Question regarding the old county quarry.
Should draw again. What's
I mean, it's I guess we'll go ahead and do it. This is the format. The quarry has been misused as a disposal area for wastewater for a construction company and also being used for wood waste disposal for contractors working for the local electrical power corporation. This has caused water quality and health problems. Are you planning to correctly monitor scheduled testing? And do you have a plan to correct the problem? Jim Baker, candidate for JP District.
Same
It
question.
is the same question. I think we're gonna move on to the next one. Oh
Eric.
no, it is Eric. You're right. I got lost in that question. Okay, there we go. Baxter County has faced costly legal settlements in recent years. What actions would you take as a county judge to reduce legal risk and taxpayer expense? And how would you ensure county policies follow the law?
Well, honestly, I don't know really how to answer that without knowing the legal battles that we fought. It's not different than any other, like the sheriff was talking a while ago, is we need to have policies that make sure that we're on the winning team. I don't know how else to answer that.
Okay. Kevin?
So I'll refer back to, with my knowledge, since I've been here as county judge, I'm going to refer back to the airport again. The airport was sued in 2015 by aerial surveys because the current county judge didn't honor the terms of his lease. It cost us $90,000 back in 2015. They didn't pay that fine in a timely manner, so they charged us interest. Kevin Liddy got to pay that interest 10 years later, 2025, of about $17,000. So it's a prime example of what we are avoiding at the airport that we faced my first 2 years. And I think I did the citizens of Baxter County a good deed, and I kept us from losing about $500,000. And our elected officials enforce policy. It's done every day. I mean, we have a policy book that's anybody's welcome to have access to it online, but we have a very thick policy book that's very well enforced.
Rebuttal? Yeah. Kevin? Oops.
Another poem again.
I've got to readjust my. How many more questions we got tonight?
We got about 20 more minutes.
Okay. If I don't do this, I will lose track of where we are. Many residents, especially in rural parts of Baxter County, say road conditions remain a significant concern. What specific steps would you take as county judge to improve county roads, and how would you measure and report progress to the public? I think you're right. Let's move on. Kevin? Okay. How do you plan to preserve our rural way of life while still allowing economic opportunity and growth? From the Board of Realtors. Preserve our rural way of life.
So economic growth is never going to stretch out into our rural way of life. It's always going to be confined in close proximity to the city of Mountain Home, because growth wants water and they want sewer, and that's a pretty short question to answer. It's never going to affect the rural way of life, regardless of how you live. You got to have services, and the services will always be what I can call our metropolitan area, Mountain Home. It's going to be close. The growth of this area will never affect the rural way of life. It won't be that quick.
Read that again now.
How do you plan to preserve our rural way of life while still allowing economic opportunity and growth?
I think we need to property rights. I think we need to be big on individual property rights. I think Kevin's right on this. I don't think that our town's going to grow, but Baxter County is never going to be, in our lifetime, it's never going to be a Little Rock, but it's never going to affect us that much. All we can do is maintain what we have better than what we're doing now, and always strive to maintain better than what we had last year, or in the year after, and the year, so on and so forth. So we can keep that intact, but make it better at the same time.
Okay. Rebuttal?
No.
Okay. Eric? The Baxter County Regional Airport and nearby industrial sites are key county assets. What is your plan to use these assets to create jobs and grow the local economy? And how would you hold yourself accountable for results from the Chamber of Commerce
Airport.
and industrial sites?
So, again, this is the reason I think we need some people out there, committee or whatever the case may be, that knows airport operations and how to grow these things. As a county, as a county judge, I don't know if any county judge in now or in the past has really been an airport guru. And I think it's kind of like department heads. You put people in the department heads, and you give them the tools to succeed, and you let them do it. And I guess that's the way I would handle that. I'd put people in places and give them the tools to succeed.
Read that question again. Please.
The Baxter County Regional Airport and nearby industrial sites are key county assets. What is your plan to use these assets to create jobs and grow the local economy? And how would you hold yourself accountable for results?
So we've worked on that and worked on that with the chamber since I've been here. It's difficult out there in the area, and without going into a lot of detail, there's property out there that was set aside for residential development. There was set aside for manufacturing development, and if we're referring to the property that we were talking to recently, there was over on the airport side of the industrial park. Part of that's industrial park over there too that some folks don't know. There was some of that set aside when that was developed on the south side of the runway for economic development, and we've recently acquired some bids to survey that to tell us to let us know exactly where that lays. We also purchased some ground on the west end of the airport when I was on the Quorum Court, which I approved, that we set aside for airport expansion one day when we get to that point with our airport. So I think I answered that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rebuttal? Anything?
I want to say checks and balances. We got to have people out there that knows what's going on and ask questions. That way we know we're moving in a positive direction.
Okay. How do you ensure transparency and fairness in county decision making so all residents, not just the most connected, are heard?
So anything that goes on in county government is open to the public. They can either read it online, they can read it in the paper. Nothing is done behind closed doors in county government. There's auditors. We have proper ways that we do things. We're transparent. It's. Government has too many regulations in it to not accomplish all them things I just said.
That was from the Board of Realtors, by the way, if I didn't mention that.
Again,
How do you ensure transparency and fairness in county decision making so all residents, not just the most connected, are heard?
Transparency all the way. Checks and balances. If somebody asks or somebody needs or asks a question, answer it. Open door policy. Don't matter what it is. They don't need to hit resistance. If they want to know something, do your best to answer it.
Okay. Anything else? Rebuttal?
Well, my opponent refers to checks and balances a lot, and we're covered up in county government with checks and balances. Referring back to the airport a while ago, that money there, it goes through our treasurer's office now. If that is not transparency and checks and balances, I don't know what is. But we're covered up with checks and balances all through county government.
Can't have too much.
All right. Eric?
Finally, short answer.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. Short question.
What is the biggest obstacle that you believe is coming your way from the Lions Club? Biggest obstacle?
Biggest obstacle is, if elected, I think county roads are are the biggest obstacle for the county judge, that and the budget. Uh, as I said a while ago, I live on 3 miles of county road. I travel county roads. I hear people. I sit as JP District 11 right now. I hear, excuse me, I hear all the complaints. I see all the complaints. And as of right now, we have got a big job ahead of us on these county roads because they have been neglected a little bit in the last 3 years.
Here's your question for me, please.
What is the biggest obstacle that you believe is coming your way?
There's no bigger obstacle than what we deal with now. The biggest obstacle is county judge. The biggest complaints is county judge. The biggest cause is county judge is county roads. We have about 700 miles of county roads. I visit with other 75 county judges in this state, and it's the same way in every county. Roads is the problem. But I tell you, we're combating our road problem. We're combating our equipment problem. I inherited some equipment that was wore out, to no blame of anybody's. Equipment wears out. But we bought over probably $2 million worth of equipment for road and bridge in my short 3 years here. We're combating our road problem. I can prove it to anybody any day if you want to come out and look. Gravel road's going to be a gravel road. If gravel roads didn't require continual maintenance, I could lay off about 40 guys and get rid of 8 graders, but they do. By the time you make your circle, we have about 6 or 7 districts within the county that our graders run. By the time you make a circle, weather affects our roads greatly up here in the hills, and there's no excuse for it. But if roads didn't require continual maintenance, we could lay off 40 employees, but they do.
Well, I agree that these roads are, of course, living on one. These are near and dear to my, and being a dirt guy. These are things I pay attention to, but this is a big job, and you have to stay on top of it. You can have $10 million, you can have $100 million worth of equipment, but if you don't use this equipment and you don't know how to give these guys ownership. These guys out driving the roads just because you want them to be seen in a county truck. And I ain't saying this is the case. I'm just saying that I've heard rumors, and other counties, this county, whatever, that this is. You have to give them ownership. You have to give them training. You have to give them support. You have to give them the tools they need to succeed. If this is new equipment, this is new equipment. If this is giving them some authority, give them some authority. We've got to get these roads under control, maintain them. If not, they're all going to go to waste, and we can't afford to let them do it.
Okay, all right. Next question, Kevin. What priority should public safety concerns, sheriff's office, early warning sirens, etc., be in the county budget? Embrace Church. Kevin? You want to read that again?
Yeah.
What priority should public safety concerns, as in the sheriff, early warning sirens, be in the county budget?
So I take that as we're referring to the warning sirens mainly. So earlier last year, we had a big discussion about replacing our storm warning sirens in Baxter County. Called a budget committee, put out an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications from any company that wanted to submit a bid to replace our storm warning sirens within the county. Them bids, if I remember right, varied from probably $325,000 to $425,000. At the time, some counties are moving away from warning sirens and going to more like a Nixle system, like we have through cell phones, or just a storm warning phone in their house. But we bid that out, and we didn't think it was a good route to take for Baxter County, because if we spent, let's just say $400,000 on sirens, we wasn't touching every resident of Baxter County. So if we were just going to spend that kind of money, we thought we needed to do something that affected nearly every resident of Baxter County, not just a few chosen. And the storm warning system that we have now was only touching a few of Baxter County residents. So that's still a work in progress, and they have storm warning phones. It's still a lot of discussion going on within county government, but we didn't think at the time, or the budget committee didn't think at the time, that was the route to go.
So I've talked to some people on this, and it went through the quorum court about, I thought we voted on getting some people in here to discuss the best options of us, because we can put a tornado siren in a mountain home, and it's got to be pretty loud to get to Big Flat, which is the area that I represent, or North Fork, or anywhere. So I don't know exactly where this went, but I know it's heavy on people's mind, and I think we need to, an early warning system is, this is something we need to look at, regardless of the cost. And I say that lightly. We have to warn people of storms. We can't let these people just be on their own in these tornadoes. If we can do it, we need to really look and see which direction we need to go on this.
Rebuttal?
I think it's the county government's job to try to help, but it's also the individual's responsibility to help themselves. You can go out here to Walmart and buy a storm warning phone for about $20, $25. We also talked about creating a fund where we can help people buy these phones that couldn't afford them. So there's been several discussions and no action taken. And with the storm system in Baxter County, ours is beyond repair. It needs to be replaced. And it's still in the works, and still conversations to be had with our budget committee to fund that.
Okay. Last question. Eric. No, we've asked that question before. That's another one.
Same question.
Yeah, it's the third time I've seen that one, so then we're going to move on. Let's want a good one for our last question. Okay, I think it's a good one. What support do local landowners, farmers, and small property investors need most from county leadership, Board of Realtors?
From county leadership, what?
What support do local landowners, farmers, and small property investors need most from county leadership?
Farmers need to, I think, we need to make sure that whenever they want to, actually we need to butt out, really. We need to let them private business be private business. Farming is private business. Landowning is private business. As long as we can keep our property's value up, and by doing that, I think we keep our lakes clean, our rivers clean, place to shop in town. I think we can do that.
Okay.
Read that again for me.
What support do local landowners, farmers, and small property investors need most from county leadership?
Well, ultimately, it's going to be roads. I mean, they support all three of them you just talked about there. I think we're building a good road program at Baxter County, and I've said this before. We're going uphill, but we're going uphill at a fast pace. But whether it's mowing a right of way, or grading a road, or repairing a road, or replacing a culvert, that would benefit all groups of them people right there. And we're doing it at a very fast pace, and we're doing it to suit our citizens.
Okay. Rebuttal?
No, I agree with him. That's the reason we don't need to neglect these county roads. We've got to get this. We got to stay on top of this on this job.
All right. That was our last question. Let's give a round of applause for these guys. And before we close this, I wanted to give acknowledgement to Russ Gillis, Jay Sabella, and Gary Maupin here, who put all this together. And give them a round of applause. What's that? And Jack. Where's Jack? Jack in the back. Jack put together our questions as he told you, so give him a round of applause. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. We'll close it.